my story as growing up as an introvert and the problems and troubles that I went through growing up. Um, so I'll start off. I'm kind of nervous to make this video because my roommate's upstairs and I didn't really want her to hear me, but anyways, I'm just gonna go for it. Um, as a young child, I have always felt better on my own. I've always thrived being by myself, thinking by myself, and just being alone. I grew up in a really small town, very far away from everyone that I went to school with, so I never really got the chance to socialize with other kids my age. I lived an hour away from them, so I wasn't able to go to sleepovers and hang out with them after school because I just lived so far away. So I got really used to hanging out by myself and just hanging out with my brother at home. We would just read or climb trees or just do normal kid things, but with less people around. Um, in school, I always felt that I worked a lot better on my own. I really didn't like group projects. I always felt that working by myself, I was happier because I had more control over what I was doing, and I didn't really want to bother other people with my ideas. Um, I was always scared to share my thoughts with other people and would rather write them down myself and hand them in myself and, in a quiet sort of manner. Um, I would have to say that I was a really smart kid growing up, and people would always come up to me and ask me how to spell words or what a word meant, so I was pretty much like their dictionary. So yeah, I was really happy in elementary school growing up. I was accepting of being an introvert, and I loved it because I was doing well in school and people respected me for who I was. But probably around grade 5 or 6, I started to, come into my own and recognize that everyone else was really sociable and attention seeking and loud, and I got kind of, I don't know, I questioned it. So I tried to break out of my introversion. Um, but yeah, that didn't really work out. As I notice now looking back on it, um, I tried to be the loud and outgoing person, and I was just not being myself. And I I tried to hang out with all the popular kids in my class who were obviously loud and extroverted. Um, but instead, I just got bullied by them because no matter how hard I tried, I just wasn't like them, you know. They would always be talking and hanging out, but I found that exhausting, so exhausting. Um, and so, after being bullied by them, I decided to switch schools in grade 7, um, and in grade 7 to all throughout high school, I guess, I faked my extroversion, I pretended to be extroverted when, in fact, I'm such an introvert at heart. I tried so hard to be outgoing. I ran for student council. I was on sports teams. I love sports. Introverted people can play sports. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I was just really outgoing, and there's nothing wrong with being outgoing, but it just wasn't who I was. I was spending way too much time worrying about what other people thought about me and trying to meet their expectations of what I should be, how to be successful, when in fact I would have been much more successful just working halfway through grade 12, I realized that, like, oh, this isn't who I am. So I quit student council and just, sort of played it out for a bit, just relaxed my last half of grade 12. And I started to party a lot. And I started faking my extroversion again. I was I pretended to be someone that I really wasn't. Um, I wanted to be that popular person again that I could never be in grade 6. It's kind of sad that you want to be who you were when you were so young, but that doesn't make sense. But anyways, so after high school, I decided to go to university. Um, in my first year of university, I still masked my introversion. Um, I so badly wanted to be alone, but I felt so much pressure to be social, and everyone says that university is supposed to be the best time of your life, and you're supposed to be going out, meeting new people, going to the bar, yada yada yada. So I figured that if I didn't do those things, then I would have the worst time of my life. Um, so I went to the bar every night and partied and just had a wild first year. But by the end of it, I was completely drained. I was so exhausted, and I completely lost who I was. And I had a breakdown at the end of my first year of university. I ended up failing one of my courses, and yeah, it was hard. So the summer after first year, I just couldn't be extroverted anymore. I couldn't pretend to be that person. So, I that summer I went home and I worked, and I don't think I left my house, like, other than work. I don't think that I hung out with my friends more than twice. uh, I just completely isolated myself from everyone, and I got really moody, and I was disrespectful to my parents, and I I I was just a completely different person. I didn't want to see anyone. I hated being around people. And so at the end of that summer, I came back to school for my second year, and I was a completely different person from first year. I didn't go out. I pretty much just locked myself in my room and studied, and that was my life. Um, and I continued that for a couple more months until December 2011, when I had another breakdown. Um, I just felt extremely depressed, alone, and I I couldn't do it anymore, so I had to go and get help. Um, I went to the university doctors, and she diagnosed me with depression and social anxiety. Um, so after that, really, I couldn't believe it. Like me, the outgoing girl from high school, I have depression and anxiety. Like, this is mind blowing. So, beginning my recovery in January 2012, I was extremely in denial and just not ready to um, become myself again because, well, number one, I didn't even know who I was. Number two, I didn't know if I wanted to be myself again. Number three, there is really no number three. Um, but so during my recovery in 2012, I started to it was really hard to get used to being okay with going out in public and talking to people again. But I kept the idea focused in my mind that I just had to get better. I was so anxious, and I would always bail on my friends if they wanted to hang out. Um, I just didn't know if I was to be one extreme I should be extremely introverted or extremely extroverted. I couldn't find a balance in the middle. Um, it wasn't until about 2 months ago, so that would be, it took a year, so December 2012, I really started to embrace who I was, and I'm now myself again, and it feels so liberating. I have a solid group of friends, and I've two really, really close friends that I will love and cherish forever. These two people know what I'm like, and they understand that sometimes I like to be alone. Sometimes I like to just do me, just hang out with myself, and I don't always need to be around other people. Um, I have no pressure to be extroverted anymore, and I'm so thankful that I've come to realize that. And I hope that all introverted people, whether you're in elementary school or high school, or you're retiring, to embrace who you are and to never try and be someone that you're not, because you are the best person that you can be, and no matter how cheesy that is, I don't care. That's what